Electrive Studio, powered by EVBox. Hello and welcome to the Electrive Studio live in Amsterdam at the EVBox event. I'm here with Mike Warner from Fortum Charge&Drive. Hi Mike, thank you for talking to us. So for Fortum, let's talk first the biggest thing, high power charging. Where are you at the moment?
Yeah, well, based on our public charging network that we have in the Nordic markets, so we have over 4,000 chargers today. We've now started to develop our high-power charging offering, and of course the new cars that will arrive, the new models that will arrive in 2019 and 2020 mean that high-powered charging will be very relevant. So we've set up a corridor to connect the Nordic capitals, so from Helsinki across to Stockholm, across to Oslo, where we've set up 4 high-powered charging sites. And the important thing for us is to really learn and understand high-powered charging, what's possible, what's not possible, and any of the challenges which may be thrown up.
That is actually a good point. I think you have been pushing it quite a bit to 350. Is this possible? What are we at realistically at the moment? Have you got any data yet?
Yeah, it's very early days, so we've opened the 4 charging sites now, and of course we start to gather the data. But as you said, and as we all know, most of the cars are not supporting the high-power charging yet. So these will come, and the important thing is that we understand how this works and what are the limitations on the grid, how to overcome those aspects, and of course the end user behavior is extremely important to us.
So you mentioned Stockholm, Oslo, Helsinki. Are there any other corridors planned?
Not at the moment. I think we try with this first corridor. We see having our own network and also operating chargers for other location partners, that it's really important that we have this experience before we deploy this on a larger scale. But this is one of the things where, as an owner and operator of a large network, we have to remain at the forefront of the technology, understand what's happening and look into all of these different developments.
If you could be a little bit more concrete, like what's happening or what are your challenges at the moment?
I think there's so many things happening, so I'm not sure if they're challenges or exciting opportunities. So things like wireless charging, we have a project running with taxis in Norway at the moment. We see that has a huge potential. So as the taxis are queuing, they are charging in wireless. So that's one opportunity. We see many opportunities, of course, with demand response solutions, and that's something that's very interesting for Fortum as a utility. So we have a separate unit called Spring, which is actually developing solutions for demand response. So there's so many things happening in the industry, and of course, as I said, we try to stay as a forerunner and try to really utilize and use these new technologies to our best advantage.
Speaking about what's happening in the industry, there's big corporations coming up and also car makers entering the charging market. What is your strategy, or are there any exciting opportunities coming up for you?
Yes, I think as we talked about this morning at this event, that there's many different collaboration opportunities. In some markets you might be competing, in other markets you might be collaborating. So I think there's many opportunities to definitely cooperate and work together with other similar companies. One really exciting prospect for us is, of course, the acquisition of plug surfing. So we acquired what we see as the most exciting startup in the industry last year. And now, of course, we are aligning our objectives and how we work together. But we see plug surfing offering that aggregator platform and roaming across Europe as being really important for the end user experience.
So you just mentioned Europe, which many of our readers are from, but we also look to the rest of the world. I think Fortum is quite big in India. That's a very different market, I would imagine. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, sure. So we've had our solar team in India for many years now. And what we have done last year is set up our first chargers in India, and we've developed or installed our first team. And we're looking at what is an incredible opportunity in India. There's some localizations which are obviously required, and we are looking at how to overcome them. But we've taken the first steps, and the volume and the potential is, of course, really at a large scale in India.
So one last outlook, maybe, if you imagine the world in 2025, what's going to be possible for me as an EV driver?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure you will be driving in 2025. I think you will be traveling in an autonomous vehicle, most likely electric. Of course, from e-mobility perspective, we can expect we've seen it in Norway, how quickly it can come. So the battery prices are coming down, the affordability of EVs will be there. So there will be this price parity, in our opinion, before that. So EVs will start to become the majority rather than the minority.
Actually, you mentioned pricing. I know that Fortum raised their prices, I think, in Finland. Is that correct? So what are we approaching? Is it going to be price parity with what I pay at a pit stop?
I think the pricing element is a really important part of it. We need to remember that some places in Europe still are having let's say free charging, and of course we don't see that is really a sustainable solution, and it also doesn't encourage the right type of behavior for charging. We've tried different pricing in all of our markets in the Nordics, so Finland, Sweden and Norway, and I think we've tried to find that right level, which is both competitive and of course brings the type of return we look for in our quite large investment.
Talking about the right level and the right balance, AC charging, DC charging, high power charging, where is it going?
Combination of all of them. So of course we need to encourage AC charging, so normal charging as often as possible. We need to encourage off-peak charging, but we see that there are many necessities for being able to charge while you're on long road trips in an efficient manner. So we see that at different sites there's different use cases. But definitely it will be a combination of all of these chargers in the future.
All right, thank you very much for talking to us. This was Mike Warner here at the EVBox event in Amsterdam. Hello and goodbye from electrive.com. Electrive Studio, powered by EVBox.